Listening to this podcast right now! Do you want to hear a fucking podcast about anything and everything? Yeah. Like movies, music, television, and more?
Oh my god.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Yes.
Subscribe to Journey into Comics Network, and you get Podcastrophe, hosted by me,
Yes.
Dick. Why not throw a couple bucks to the Patreon? It's your choice. Yeah. This is a Podcastrophe.
That sounds so awesome.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Adulting Ain't Easy, a podcast that tackles all the topics that makes adulting so hard. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined as always by my fiancée Liz.
Hello.
Hello. It's been a hell of a week so far, and it's only Tuesday as the time we're recording this.
Yep.
And this is actually the first time we're recording in our house, which is very exciting.
Yeah, in our living room.
In our living room, because we don't quite have the office set up. The office was a cat room, and it's a storage room, and it's all these things right now that's not an office. So
Because Andrew is still unpacking, but he can't unpack until rooms are done, which is kind of our topic, home improvement.
Yes.
So at least right now, one project can't be complete until another project. It's just kind of like a, what's it called, like a domino effect.
yeah, everything's kind of in, because I moved out of my apartment last week. 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So I've been living here. This is the beginning of my second full week living here.
Yeah, that was a hell of a thing.
Right. So all of my stuff was packed and organized is now kind of where it's supposed to go to an extent. Like the big furniture is in place, but like we're still in a place where the walls still need to be drywalled, some walls still need to be primed and painted. Everything's still kind of rough and not where it's going to be. The only thing that's kind of set is the kitchen, and the kitchen still needs to be painted. So it's just been a lot of this, that, and the other. And we've had a lot of family help. We've had a lot of going on. We've had like exterior stuff change to the house. We've had interior stuff change, lighting, electrical, plumbing, landscaping, all of this stuff that's happened.
Yeah. I feel like when we first had the house, like when we started working on it, I feel like we started a bunch of different projects at once, and now we're kind of starting to maybe finish some of those little projects. Because we first started with the front, we had these giant weeds, the people who had the house before us were very had a green thumb, and could keep up and tend the garden like a planting bed. But as these people got older and one of them passed away because it was a couple, they kind of let it go to weeds. So it was very hard for us because we like plants and stuff, but I wouldn't say we would like going out and gardening every weekend. But so we had to make that more manageable for us.
So we ripped out a bunch of weeds. We got some sod put down. We got our tree in the front taken down, and then we finally, this past weekend, got the stump taken out. So now that's ready to be sodded over, and then we'll kind of have, I think the front yard is probably the closest to looking the way we want it to look.
Yeah, I would say so.
And then we still have a lot to tackle on the back and the side yard on the exterior front, but it's all kind of coming together, and I think the big structural things inside the house are pretty well set now.
Yeah, we made we made a opening. We
did. The one that was interesting about our house is it kind of had two living spaces. They were about of equal size. One of them has a nice bay window. The other room had a sliding glass door and a fireplace. And it's just weird. They had two spaces that you really couldn't get to. You just had to kind of walk around past the dining room and then go into the other room. So we opened that wall up a fair amount and made a nice little pass through that really, I feel like, changed the whole look of the house. It made it a lot. You can get a lot more light in both rooms because of the sliding door and the bay window. You can see the fireplace more easily. once we
and
have...
the TV, which is like the most important thing.
I know, I cannot wait to put my big TV up. I'm stuck with my little TV sitting on top of a bookcase in front of the fireplace because the wall still needs to be primed and painted and get the wall mount up and then put the big TV on the wall. And then I could sit in the living room, the other end of the room, about 20 feet away and still get a nice view of the TV.
Yeah, I think that's what I've liked the best so far. I mean, trying to get certain things in and kind of visualizing now, like, because before, when we didn't have any furniture and stuff, it was hard to be like, oh, was that the right decision for us? Should we have done this? And then now having, like, the TV up and all that and have the furniture in, I'm like, this is going to be really cool. I'm going to be really excited for it to be done.
I agree. I'm definitely excited to see what's going to look like once everything is exactly where we want it to be. Like, we've had little ideas, because really before we moved in and it was more of a blank slate and we started tearing down wallpaper and paneling and taking window coverings down and gutting a bathroom completely. There was so much going on, it was very overwhelming, and little things kept stressing us out. Like, my dad was here for a week helping on project with the week off, and I was working like 18-hour days. It felt like getting stuff done, and there was just so much, like, it felt like it was all this stuff that was behind the scenes, so it didn't look like from the outside that we were accomplishing much, but there was so much stuff on the inside that was being done. And
yeah, mostly electrical and plumbing, which you don't really realize what's going on until you open up everything. Because if we wouldn't have opened up any of this, we would have had no idea, and we probably would have had a ton of problems as we were living here. Right. Just in terms of like fuses being blown in the whole house, having like power going out or something like that, or just a complete like our house flooding or stuff like that, because they were kind of so big, but we didn't realize it until we had to take like a look at everything.
And these things are like not even the home inspector really noticed. Like things, the home inspector noticed very surface level things like, oh, that'd be minor. And then like when we're noticing like, oh, the sump pump really shouldn't be draining where it is. That doesn't make sense. It should go here. And then that solved one big problem. We had a major clog in our sewer line that was causing a lot of back pressure that was going to basically destroy the entire plumbing in our house. We didn't get that fixed. So we ended up having to do some major work on that was very stressful. Mm-hmm. To like every toilet, sink, everything had to be fixed. And now I think finally, a few weeks later, we now have, I think, no drain water related issues to worry about. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
I don't want to have to deal with another plumber. I don't want to have to deal with people under the house, because the under the house is gross. Because we have a crawl space, so all the plumbing has to be done in the crawl space, and it's disgusting. Right. And I mean,
you haven't even really been under there.
No, I just don't. Our basement kind of freaks me out, but
now it's more well lit.
Still doesn't make it any difference to me. That crawl space is just so big.
It's big and it's full of cobwebs and
pea gravel.
But it's been a work in progress, and I've been under there and learning a lot and taking out plumbing and running conduit and doing all this stuff. So it's been a real learning experience. I feel like I could deal with most issues that would arise in the future, but right now I just really want to get this house to where it's done, and then I don't have to pick up a tool again for a long time.
Mm-hmm. No kidding. It's kind of funny, because you think like when you're watching HGTV and like, you know, you're watching like Property Brothers or Love It or List It, and like there's problems coming up, you're like, oh, those are fake. Like that never happens with people. Everything always goes smoothly. And then now, kind of looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because that's like you have one plan and then you try to accomplish it, and then you find out that there's something else wrong. I'm like, so I totally believe it now that like random things will pop up, like, oh, you have some studs that need to be replaced, or oh, your plumbing is not up to code, so you have to fix all of that. I believe it. Right. Because that's how our house is turning out to be.
I feel like for a while it was like, if it wasn't one, there was like we'd fix one problem and another one would pop up, like, oh, there's a clog in the utility sink, so the dishwasher doesn't drain. Oh, we resolve it. Oh, well, now the dryer's going to go out. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, we finally we got rid of the crappy dishwasher and got a new one by sheer luck and a nice blessing for us. Oh, it's not going to leak right. Oh, it's actually the line. Oh, it's actually the kink in the hose. Oh, now it's resolved. Oh, you're going to burn your hand in the process. Like, we've just had so many setbacks that have been like, and then it feels like I feel like I could take 2 months off work and still be busy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Especially home improvement is just very stressful because I've had those moments like where I'm like after a long day of working, it's like, was it even worth it for us to get this house? Like, I feel like, you know, things would arise and it was just like it's like, really, again, another thing. And everyone's like, oh, but it's just home ownership. But being in the moment, like, just like, oh crap, something else broke, or oh crap, we have to do this and we didn't realize it. And it's just like, seriously. Like, it's very frustrating, especially when we have, you know, wedding going on and trying to move them in, and then I have to move in because I still haven't moved in. I haven't even packed one dang box.
No, like, the only thing you really have here is your overnight bag of toiletries.
Yep.
And that's really it. Like, it seemed like for a while it was, like, what did we get ourselves into? And it was just like, I know, like, for you were, working and then coming right here, and then you worked until dinner time, and then you had to go home, get stuff ready for the next day, and then it was just a repeat. And then since I've moved in, it's just been stuff that I need to work on staring me in the face. I'm like, oh, I really need to do this. Well, it's 9 o'clock at night, and you have to work in the morning. Like, well, I can just spend a couple hours on this, and then I go to bed at 11:30 or midnight, and then I hate myself the next day when I have to get up for work. And it's just, you have to try and not overexert yourself, because that's when you start hating it, and once you hate it, then it's not good.
Then it takes you longer to do things, and you put off stuff.
Right.
But luckily, I mean, we've gotten really lucky because I have grandparents who are 80 years old, mind you, that love doing this kind of stuff, so they've been a humongous help. Especially, we decided to concentrate on the hall bathroom because that's where we kind of had to tear it apart, because the whole subfloor we found through our plumber / Andrew's dad, that it was just like the only thing holding the toilet up was the copper pipe attached to it, and we were like, oh, awesome. So it was like, well, might as well, we have to take up the floor anyway, might as well start on this bathroom. And
right, because I think the original plan was to like do a soft remodel of that bathroom. Like, we were going to leave some of the tile intact, we were going to just paint, put new fixtures and stuff in place, and just call that good. But then after having to rip out the floor and digging up some of the tile in the showers, trying to just made the most sense to, like, well, we're already in here, we're already doing 80% of a remodel, let's just do the other 20 and put new tile around the tub, put new tile floor in, paint it, put all the new stuff in, and just call it a day, and then we don't have to touch it again for 20 years. Which
will be nice. Because today we finally, my grandparents and I finally finished the tiling, which actually, like, I actually really enjoyed doing it. It was fun to, like, we kind of had a little assembly line. Like, my Oma, which is my grandma would come in, she would get the tile, and then I would put the mortar on it, and then I would put it on if it was a whole tile, I'd just put it right on there and put the spacers on it. And then my grandfather, my Opa, he would go and, like, if we needed to cut tile, he would go and cut it and come back, and then we would do it, and it was really fun. I don't know, it was kind of like, there was a lot going on, which made the time go quicker, and we did run into some, I wouldn't say any huge problems with that. It was just it's a lot of, when it comes to tiling, it's a lot of figuring, as my grandparents say, which is their way of saying a lot of thought has to go into it, and it turned out really nice, I think. I mean, we're not completely done, but right. I mean, we've got the majority of the big tiles on there, and so hopefully by tomorrow we can grout it and be done with the tub, and then we can move on to the floor.
Yes.
Yay, and painting.
We'll paint.
Because painting's fun. I'm excited to paint stuff.
Right. And then I know one thing, because, like, I think, like, this time last week we were stressing about what tile we wanted in that shower. I remember I think it was about that time last week, we were running to a few different places to try and find a tile and a trim and something for the cutout box, and the cutout box ended up working out, and there's just... That's the
thing about home improvement, too. You may have one idea, but then when you actually get to implementing that idea, it may not work. Because,
Right.
we were trying to find, some sort of accent tile that worked with our paint color and, to put in the shower. But the thing was that the paint color that I was dead set on didn't really have a lot that matched with it. So it was very, I spent, a few nights just trying to find something that matched, and it was just, I could not find anything.
It seemed like
I was
everything
getting
was
really frustrated.
Yeah, it seemed like everything was, a shade off.
Yes.
It was close, but if you put them both side by side, you'd be like, something just is wrong here, or it made the tile look, old or aged, and you don't want that. Or...
Yeah, or, I had changed floor tile. I thought I had my floor tile, and then I put it, some things just look different in the store than they do when you bring them home, because in the store I was like, oh yeah, this is really good, I really like this, and then all of a sudden I bring it home and I'm like, well, this is, and then I'm like, we kind of changed our whole tune because we were going to make it match to a tile the existing tile that was in there, and then once we decided not to, just to gut the whole thing, then we kind of changed we had to shift gears, and so that's always fun. But it's nice because everybody gives you 90 days to figure out if you like it or not, as long as you don't put it in anywhere.
Right, and you have to deal with some issues because, some of the tile you get, it looks good, and then you find out, 5 tiles under that all of the other ones are broken.
Yes, that was my issue yesterday. We literally tried to we were starting our tiling, and we opened some of the boxes, and they were, the first tile was okay, but then it was 1, 2, 3, 4 chipped, and we're like, well, great, that's half the box. So luckily they were really nice. As you go through home improvement, I feel like I've made friends with a lot of the people that work there, especially in certain departments, because it was funny because I went to a Menards by my house where I got the tile in the first place, and they were letting me exchange the boxes that had tile that were broken, and I went over the tile section, and the guy that helped me was there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hey, do you remember me? And he's like, yeah, but you're with different people, because I had my grandparents with me instead of my mom, and I was like, okay, so we got that tile, and I really like it, but the problem is that we have 2 broken full boxes of broken tile. I'm like, can you help us? Because I know when we went a week ago, there weren't very many of my tile, and I was like, great, how am I going to exchange this if they don't have the tile?
Right.
And so luckily he was very nice, and he looked in the back, and he found 2 full boxes, and it was very, very helpful. So, but it helps when they remember your face because you're coming in all the time.
Yeah, that's how I always feel with the Home Depot. There was, I think it was last Saturday, I literally was at Home Depot 4 different times within a 2-hour period, and I kept seeing the same guy, and I'm like, and it's always something different guy. I'm like, I come through and I grabbed an HDMI cable. I came through, I grabbed a plumbing piece. I came through and grabbed an electrical piece. It was just he's like, what are you making? I'm just like, home improvement stuff. Just, I'll see you again in a half hour before you close. It's one of those things you feel like you just keep running back and forth to the same place. So he's like, oh, I should have grabbed this while I was there. Oh, now I realize I need this and that. And
Luckily, though, we're really lucky because we do have a Home Depot that's literally maybe 5 or 6 minutes down the road, so it's not too terribly hard, but we didn't figure that out until, the first week we were here.
Yeah, and I think your OPA actually found out because we thought the closest thing was, the Menards, which was, a 15-minute drive. Mm-hmm. Which I was like, well, that stinks, but at least there's something kind of close. And then it's 2 miles up the road there's a Home Depot. I was like, what? Because, I didn't realize where we were. I didn't realize that, there's a whole other city, 2 miles north of us, because we're on, the edge of one city. I was like, oh, I know exactly where we are now. So now it makes so much more sense, and there's grocery store and all this stuff that we just didn't know existed.
Yeah. It's nice when you try and... Because we're vaguely familiar with the city, because Andrew's lived here for a couple years, but we're on, a new side of the city, so it's okay, because we're trying to figure out which grocery store is closer, and then kind of Google map it and be like, oh, the one that we don't go to is actually closer, and it's much nicer. And I love it.
Yeah, there's still one that's if I'm coming from work, it makes more sense to go here. But if I need to run and get something, it makes so much more sense to go to the closer one. Mm-hmm. The one that's actually new, and I remember when they actually built it. It was oh, that's where they put it. That's awesome. And there's a Starbucks in it and all that stuff, and it's kind of a great little grocery store.
Mm-hmm. But going back to the home improvement, I'm actually pretty surprised about how the animals really have been taking it, because we have our animals here. We got the 2 cats and the dog, and I was worried they would be freaked out all the time because of all the loud noises and things like that, but literally today when we were working on tile and we had the saw going and pushing tile on the wall and scraping and whatever, the dog was sitting in his recliner and sleeping, and one of the cats was sleeping on the couch, and then the other cats freaked out. So we got 2 out of 3, so it's not too bad.
Like,
60%, that's a D.
Like, Max has been the most comfortable around all destruction. Like, there were guys literally chopping down trees, and Max could kill us. We were just watching them out the window like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I have had saws going, like, 5 feet from him, unfazed. Like, and the cat, too. Like, the cat was attacking the putty knife while I'm trying to do some drywalling work. Like, the one, my original cat, like, the first cat that I got since I was on my own, has taken the move a little stressful. Getting better, but it didn't help that, like, we had him inside for a few days while, like, we were make sure all the walls were closed up and they couldn't get anything because we had a scare of that cat got behind the wall in the shower while it was still open and had to get the cat out of there. And then my parents came this past weekend and brought their dog. So there's another...
And that dog freaks her out.
Right, because that dog is just high energy and everywhere and running around. And so put him back in the room. So I think it's going to take a couple weeks for the cat to kind of acclimate, and once things settle down. And then Liz will move in, and then that'll probably restart the whole process. So
I don't think I'll be too much of a distraction.
No. And then it'll just be around. And, like, we can't have asked for more adjusting pets. Mm-hmm. Like, literally we have, while we're recording right now, we have a cat directly behind us and a dog across from us. Could care less about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rory's been sleeping on the couch since, like, I put him on the couch. I literally, like, he was trying to get out the garage, and I grabbed him and I put him on the couch, and he really hasn't left since. Mm-hmm. He's just sleeping. They like the light from our little bay window, and they like laying in it, like sunning themselves, really.
Yeah, it's definitely been nice. And I'm really starting to see, like, now that a lot of the walls have taken shape, I'm really seeing where furniture pieces, and, like, since Liz and I both have massive book collections, seeing where books can go and all of that, or my movies can go once I finally get those out of their boxes, and then that'll really clear up a lot of the storage and box issue that we have, is because I have, like, 9 big boxes of movies and, like, 10 boxes of books that I'll have to go somewhere. And then Liz has a fair amount of books that she still has to pack and bring over, so gotta get at least one more big bookcase, but that nice in our living room, and I think it'll really start bringing spaces together. So
yeah, and I'm excited. That's the good thing. It's like once they're done, like that's the thing you look forward to, is like once your project is done, you get to enjoy it. Like, I mean, granted, we're going to finish the hall bathroom, and then probably a couple weeks later start the master bathroom. But, I mean, hey, enjoying that we have 2 full bathrooms that are not demolished instead of 1. That'll be exciting.
We'll finally get our toilets out of the garage.
Yes, because we got the first thing that we purchased after the first major purchase after we bought the house were toilets.
Yeah, I mean, because these toilets, one was, it was brown. One was a brown, weird shaped toilet that I was like, this was weird. Then we threw that out, and now we're stuck with this other one with a wooden seat that is all,
it's splintery. Like,
so I literally covered it with like clear packing tape just so it wouldn't splint you in the very uncomfortable place. So, and I cannot wait. There's 2 very nice toilets that are just sitting in our garage.
And they've been sitting there for almost a month.
Right, and I just cannot wait to put that in and then throw the other toilet away.
Yeah.
And then finally have a nice, fully done bathroom with a door that's on the hinges that can close and say, one room in our house is 100% done, and then move on. And then I cannot wait to see, because Liz has had these paint colors that she's wanted for these rooms picked out for a while now. And I can't wait just to see them on the walls, because I think it's really going to change the look. Like, we saw how much the family room changed as soon as we ripped out the wood paneling, but I think once we put the color on the wall, it's going to be another big change. And that lighting that we put in is going to really make it pop.
Yeah, because it's hard, when you have such dark colored walls, it's hard to, because the paneling, it wasn't like it was light paneling, no, it was dark. And it made the room look smaller, and then once we took it off, it's like, it looks so much better. Like, I know that was the style when they built the house, but it was like, why didn't you take it off or like paint it or something? But that wasn't something they wanted to do.
Yeah, we really should also talk about some of the interesting stuff we found since we've been doing some remodeling.
Like so we opened, what was it, with the beer can? We found a 1970s Budweiser can in
the pull tab where it's just like, you just have to like, there's that little triangle cut in it. So you guys still have it. I think it's in the kitchen, right, or the dining room right now, and then we found that is in the wall while they were building the bathroom or when they were doing the last major remodel of that area. And then after that we found... Well, no, it was before that we found those 3 black and white photos, but I can't remember if we talked about it on the last episode.
I don't think so. They're these... Yeah, there's really no context to these pictures. They're just very old. One of them we think is a Christmas card because it kind of... You can still kind of make out what some of the things say on the back of the photo, but the other ones don't have any context. So I said, hey, let's just keep them. I know that's really creepy, but it's like I almost want to see if there's like a historical society and be like, hey, we have found these pictures in our house. Do you think you know anybody, or is this someone that you've found, or kind of give it to them so that they can kind of have some kind of mystery solved.
And like, it wasn't like we found them like in a book or thing. We just found them like loose in the attic. Like, in the attic above the garage. I'll be like in like the attic of the house. It was just loose on the ground. Like, I was just picking up loose stuff to throw out. Like, oh, these are just random papers. Like, nope, these are pictures, and they're black and white. And if anything, like horror movie ever taught me was like, oh, we're all gonna die.
Mm-hmm. So far, so good. Andrew's still alive. He survived quite a few nights without any issues.
And also, I talked about some of the interesting flooring we found under our carpeting.
Oh yeah,
like that weird green flooring that's like a very thick like linoleum that's just been a little unusual, and I feel like it ran through the whole back half of the house. So I really would wish someone had pictures of what this house looked like when it was first built and when people were living here, because there's some very 70s decor that we've like found neatly tucked away in places.
I mean, there are things. It's not like the whole house is original, but there's a very, very big chunk of it that is. Like, we have the olive green stove still. I don't think they ever touched the bathrooms, but our windows seem pretty new, and our sliding glass doors seem pretty new. But everything else, it's like, oh, this looks like it's never been touched.
Right. I think that's like one thing that I was thankful for is that, at least in the one regard, that since the original owners, or at least the owners before us that actually did the windows, they were the same ones that cared about their yard and garden so much. I think they put these nice big windows in so they could look at it, which has been nice for us because even though we don't have the same, not respect, but the same enthusiasm for like birds and big, large landscaping features, that we at least can do whatever we want and have these nice windows to look out of that are going to not need to be replaced. Like, I don't think there's a window in this house that really needs to be replaced.
Exactly. And I mean, and as we grow in this house, I mean, I'm sure eventually we're going to be thankful because we want to have some sort of deck outdoor, like kind of expand our outdoor entertainment areas, and and like just getting some, because a lot of their like flowers and stuff and bushes are very similar, and I kind of want to branch out a little bit more, get a little bit more color in here and whatever, and kind of like make it our own, because this was the style of the people that lived here before us, and now I kind of want to make it more of us, like what we want.
As much as we're tackling the inside with like changing the color on the walls, like the outside still looks very much the way the original owners left it. Like, I'm pretty sure hostas outnumber everything else at least 2-1.
Yeah.
And hostas are great, but we have
too many.
We have a bunch of giant ones, and like I really just want to put them somewhere, like either like take them out of where they are and move them down along the fence, or take them out completely and put something different. And we have some overgrowth that we still need to trim back, and we finally seen our patio for like the first time in weeks, because when we had a friend chop down a bunch of trees, he put all the brush there, and then we finally, when we had the tree people come out to take out a dead tree in our yard, they haul all that away. So like for the first time, I feel like since we've moved in, we finally have a patio again.
Since you moved in, I'm still...
Well, sorry, I meant to say, like, yeah, since I've closed.
Since we've obtained the house.
Right. And I know Liz and I both really can't wait to take... There's this weird, privacy fence that's, like, half of one side of the patio and all of the side against the back of the house. So, like, we don't want to take that down just because I feel like it's a weird privacy fence, and that's not really... And it just stands out amongst all the neighbors, and we're not really...
we don't need it. I mean, it's not like... I mean, I'm sure there were some, like, a valid reason for them to have it, but honestly, like, for us, like, his dad really wanted us to get a new one, and I'm like, we're not doing anything illegal back there. It's not like we're sitting there, like, we're not nudists. We're not going to sit out on our patio naked, or, like, we're not smoking crack on the patio. Like, we're fairly normal people, so.
And it's like, it doesn't really avoid anything. Like, we can still look directly to our right and see our neighbor's backyard. We can look directly to our left and see our other neighbor's backyard. Like, it's not much privacy. Like, I feel like to be a true privacy fence, it needs to be literally the same height from the sliding glass door out and around, so it's an enclosed box. Mm-hmm. And the same reason, like, I know I was dead set when we closed on the house that I wanted to put a fence around the whole backyard. And seeing how Max is and seeing how everything else is going on, like, don't think we need it. Like, I have a chain, like, at least at this point. Maybe in the future when we have kids, maybe that'll be something, because you don't want young kids just wandering aimlessly.
Or if, like, you know, God forbid when Max passes away and we have another dog, because who knows if that dog is going to be as well-mannered as Max.
Right, like Max.
Especially if it's a younger puppy.
Right, like, because Max, like, we've had the issue, like, we've taken to places where, like, they have a backyard, and he'll chase rabbits or birds or something, he'll just take off running. And, like, I have not had that once. Like, I've left him in the front yard on no lead, and people walk by, and he barely makes us. He may bark at them or make his little warning, little bark, 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 but, like, that's nothing. Like, he'll go, like, when Miley was here, my parents' dog, he approached a lot more dogs because there's a lot of feeding off each other, but he's been so chill and stuff that, like, I really don't need to rush out to put a fence in right away.
Right, and he's been so used to, like, the lead. Like, if we put him out there and, like, we're doing yard work and stuff, like, he finds, like, he lays down in the grass, he's able to he knows, like, he can go to the bathroom on it, and he's perfectly content.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's going to be in winter and stuff when there's snow and all that. I feel like he's not going to want to be out there that much, but I've seen him, like, be so he'll still lay out there and just be like, I like snow. Mm-hmm. So, but that's still a world away, and there's still a lot. It
feels like it, but yet it's like the middle of July.
Right, like August feels like right around the corner, and I feel like we've done a lot, but there's still quite a bit to do.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot, we're not staring at a big, long list like we were before, but there's still quite a few big items that we need to check off.
Yeah. That's why I think all the friends that have been, it's like, oh, we can help you, I might be like, all right, it's time for you to come and help us. You say you can help us, well, let's
we've had a couple friends that say, like, once you're ready to paint, hit me up, I love painting, like, you're going to get a call in the next couple days, because that's where we're getting close to that. Like, next week, I think, is painting time.
Yeah, I would agree on that, or even maybe a little this weekend. I don't know, but
we'll see. I think this weekend, I think our goal is to get some more outside stuff done if weather and all that allows. But we'll kind of have to see how it shakes out. Like, we're thankful it's not just the two of us doing all of this. We've had quite a bit of help, and that's really helps us, because I feel like if we were just the two of us, the house would look very different right now, and we'd be very stressed.
Yes. And we wouldn't be as far as we are, that's for sure.
Like, we'd still have the same, probably this, either that or we've spent a lot of money to hire people to do it, and that would not be fun either.
Yeah, it's just, even with, like, the smaller things that we've had fixed by other people, it still adds up more than, like, some of the stuff that, like, the materials that we've bought and all that.
Right. I think we're lucky that we had, because, like, your parents have someone that they worked to do, like, remodeling and stuff in the past, and he was able to give us ideas without just holding out to, like, oh, I'm not going to tell you what to do until I actually agree to do the work. So, like, we've done, like, he's like, oh, you could do this, or you could do this, and it's like, oh, that would actually is a really good idea, and able to do a lot of this ourselves to save the money, because
he was really respectful of the fact that we're starting out, and he literally, like, told us flat out, like, okay, just for my labor, it's X amount of dollars, and he's like, but if you do it, these are how much you'll spend on materials.
Right.
So he kind of put it in both perspectives. Like, if you want me to do it, I'll do it, but you're going to have to end up spending X amount of dollars to have me do it.
So this is my hourly rate. Like, that doesn't change. Mm-hmm. But it's like, but a lot of this stuff, like, you can easily do yourself. Like, yeah. I'm not going to try and say, oh, I'm the only one who can do this just to get money out of you. He's very respectful, and he's worked for your family enough that he knows that we're not going to just take his ideas and run with it to someone else. Like, he knows if we really need him, he'll be available, and he's going to get business. Right.
Because the carpenter, or I don't know what you want to call
contractor?
him, contractor, that we have. He's been working for us for years. Like I think he started out with us through like some interior designer that my mom was talking to about when we were doing kind of some big remodeling at least like 10 years ago, if not longer. And he kind of came in and he was awesome. And so he's done stuff on my parents' rental properties and now hopefully at some point he'll come and work for us. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but eventually, because he does really nice work.
Right, we might be saving him for the kitchen,
Yes.
which I feel like, because the kitchen we're not really touching right now. I know my dad has ideas for it, but I'd rather just not trust him out about it, have it done. We get the majority of it done what we want to do ourselves, and he'll be quick, and it's not that big, so we don't have to worry about a lot of major stuff, and we can even preset some of that stuff that he can finish up so he's not spending weeks and weeks here.
Yeah.
But we'll deal with that when we get to it. That's probably not a 2018 project.
Yep. I would agree, because we've got enough stuff to do in 2018.
Exactly. Because we still are like 5 months away from our wedding, which is also another...
Don't remind me, don't remind me. I am so behind. But that's for
Sleepy
another
cat.
time.
I want to forget the meow on recording. It's fine. But I think we've been talking enough. If you have any ideas, feel free to reach out to us on our social media. We're really only right now on Facebook at Adulting Ain't Easy. No, sorry, it's Adulting's Hard. I haven't plugged that in a while. So you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter at that, or reach out, message if you have things you want us to talk about. Because we're definitely open to ideas. If not, we're just going to keep picking topics right before we record. Like, we're going to talk about this, and then just jump into it. So,
yes. Or if you have suggestions for things in terms of like, oh, we're stressed about this. Here, you can use this idea to help you be less stressed.
Right. If you have things that you think would help us, or you want us to talk about things that may help other listeners, definitely throw those our way, because it's definitely, this isn't just us venting about what's going on in our lives right now. This is as much learning for us as passing along what we've learned to others, to hopefully they don't go through similar things and help find other ideas through us. So that's definitely what our plan for this show is, and we're kind of interested to see what happens, like, once the house is done to an extent, and once the wedding is past us to an extent. Like,
God, we're gonna have nothing to talk about.
It'll become a very interesting day to day. It'd be like, oh, like yard work day. Woo, that's enough. But I feel like once we get this big stuff out, there'll probably be something else. I'm sure there's always something that'll pop up.
Yeah, because really, life's rough.
Life is rough. Adulting ain't easy. Yeah, well, I think that does it for this week. I am Andrew.
And I'm Liz.
And have a great week, guys.